The Comedians with Disabilities Act is a fabulous collection of comedians who have disabilities both seen and unseen. And through their acts, they bring humor that they find in their own experiences, changing attitudes about disability one laugh at a time. And here to tell us more about it is comedian Nina G. Nina, thank you so much for joining me here on Live in the Bay.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to talk, of course, about Comedians with Disabilities Act, but first, maybe you can tell me how you got started in comedy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a long story. When I was a kid, I grew up in the Bay. I'm from Alameda and San Leandro, and I loved comedy like my whole life. And I'm also a person who stutters, and my dream was to be a stand-up comic. Dream died because of my stutter. I thought that you couldn't be a comedian who stuttered, and that was back in like the 80s and early 90s. And I went to a conference for people who stutter, and I challenged myself after that, and that was almost 14 years ago. And I started comedy after that and have loved it, and so happy that I'm in it.
I love that. What was it about that conference that gave you a little boost of confidence and decided, I'm going to pursue this?
I think it wasn't necessarily confidence. It was more like, I don't think these people should be giving up on their dreams, so why am I doing it to myself? And I wrote a big part of that experience in my book, Stutter Interrupted, which is my memoir.
And talking about that book, what was the process? What went into that? I'm sure it was a labor of love. So tell me a little bit about the process and what it meant to you to get that book out.
Well, I wanted to go with a publisher who wasn't going to make it into like, she stutters and she's such an inspiration, like, oh my God. And so and also I wanted to swear. I can't swear here, but I really love to swear. And I think it's hard to talk about the disability experience without saying the F word. And so I was able to do that in my book, and also on stage on February 1st for the Comedians with Disabilities Act. But I wanted to have my most authentic voice, and comedy has really helped me to bring out that authentic voice both in print and on stage.
I love that. So getting that book out, how did the Comedians with Disabilities Act come about? And tell us a little bit about what that entails, because it's not just you, it's a group.
It's a group, and the group was actually started by Michael O'Connell, who passed away a few years back, but he started the whole thing, and he just wanted to have a group of disabled comics and tour and do shows, and from there, Stephen Danner joined, and he's going to be on the show, and we've just had various comics throughout the time. But the ones who are on the show on February 1st, those are some of the core people who do shows. And my dad said, I talked to my dad on the way here, and he's very excited that I'm on this, and he had said that any of those comics could be headliners on their own, but to have them all on the same show is amazing. So everyone should listen to my dad.
Yes, absolutely. Shout out to that. We're listening to parents today. We're giving a lot of shout outs to the parents.
There you go.
Shout out to Dad. We love that. What does it mean to you to be a part of this group, and how do you guys kind of feed off of each other and, you know, come up with the different comedy stories and comedy lines that you guys kind of get together and do?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own act, and we do it on our own, but when we're doing it as a group, the audience is just on a different page than when I'm at a dive bar doing a show. And so it's really great to have an audience who embraces disability inclusion, and also a club that embraces it too. And a shout out to Alameda Comedy Club, because they have built access into it, and they're really, well, one of our homes aside from some other places we like to play to. And so it's just great to have a place where we can bring our experiences, because we don't always need to write. Sometimes I just have experiences at the supermarket, and I get to talk about that, because when you're disabled, the world gives you weird experiences.
What does that mean to you to be able to take these experiences and bring them to light and have a little bit of a laugh on, with them?
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of times people think that because you're doing comedy, especially as a woman, that it's self-deprecating, or that you're disabled and it's self-deprecating. No, it's just the opposite, where we really kind of make fun of the experiences that we have in the world. And before I did comedy, I'd have those experiences and I would just be asleep at night thinking about them. It's like, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that. Now I can say those things, but it's on stage, even if it's after the fact.
So this show is actually part of Sketchfest, SF Sketchfest, that it's happening right now. And what does it mean to you to be a part of this big comedian, comedy shows that are happening all across the Bay?
Yeah, I mean, last night I went to go see Triumph the Insult Dog, who was awesome at the Castro, and to be on the same lineup as all of these great comics, Eric Idle, just all these people is really amazing. And also, I'm very thankful that that a festival is including disabled voices in that. And this is our first year that we participated, and they've had other disabled comics, but this is the first time they've had a show with us as the comedians with Disabilities Act.
And how can people get more information if they want to come check out the show? Where can they get the information and get tickets?
All of our shows, we also have some that are coming up in Santa Rosa, in Sacramento, and also Santa Cruz. All of that information is on comedianswithdisabilitiesact.com, and they can get the link to Sketchfest there.
Perfect. Nina, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you guys are going to have an incredibly hilarious show, so I just want to wish you luck, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Of course.